sent us your butterflies yesterday. They were absolutely beautiful, and I was bursting with pride with Elizabeth, who did such an amazing job. But today we're going to be doing something very different. We're going to go down the rabbit hole, and we're going to have quite a cartoony, fabulous Alice in Wonderland. So let's start drawing. It's a bit of a complex drawing, so we're going to really break it down very simply, this one. And what I want you to think about is where on the paper we're going to put Alice. So we want to start her head exactly halfway through. So put a mark there. That's going to give you your halfway mark. And then we're going to start this circle which will form her head. It's more of an oval really, just above that mark that you've made. And we're bringing it out. Think about the size we want it to be and the angle. We can always change this, because if you keep those first marks very, very light, which you really need to, that is what is going to help you. So I'm definitely going to be rubbing some of these out. So first marks are just to give you an indication. So that's about the size of the first bit. Now from here, we've got these two shapes, because she's sort of holding her chin in her hands. And we're going to bring those two shapes like that. And then joining, this will be the little arms, her forearms, joining like that. And then we're going to just put in a few shapes which will give us an indication about the hair. So going up slightly from there, I know it doesn't look like hair at the moment, it just looks like a series of very bizarre shapes. But do not worry, first marks are always just guides really. I'm going to take it quite close to the head up there, really light here, because we're going to rub all that line out. And then coming around, we'll take that line to right down to there, and then another line coming out. So really don't worry too much about the neatness of this, just get the first lines in, and then you'll see at the next one as we start to really build it up. So keep your lines light. Okay, so let's pop this cat on the top of her head. I can't remember what the cat's called actually.
Cheshire Cat.
Cheshire Cat, thank you Elizabeth. Thank goodness I've got Elizabeth doing it here. Total mind blank there. So this is another sort of egg shape here, which we'll really like, because I'm going to rub loads of this out. But it's just to give us an idea of where everything is. So bring him out. He's not a slim cat here. We're really going for a very Disney cartoony version of Alice in Wonderland here. So now this shape here, coming up, let's actually get rid of that line. It'll help. Get rid of those lines there. And then just thinking, where's the top of the hairline? Go up, leave that gap there. And then we're going to bring this shape out here like that. So one of the ways you can look at that is to think about that shape there. Think about that negative shape there. And then coming in. And again, thinking about the shape underneath. And what we'll do is we'll take this down here and across and up and across and round. And if we take it like that, starting there, go kind of across the shape, up. I know I say this all the time, but it's really worth taking your time to get these basic shapes in the right place. Really helps the final drawing. So we've got, that's going to form his head. Let's go out here for one of his back legs. And we've got a couple of small lines coming in and a circle. And on that side, it's just one small line really, and a circle there. So let's start thinking about his tail now. If you go right to the top, we'll take a line down joining there. So you can see, look at that very clear negative shape in between. Up to the top, and I really want a massive sweeping tail there, and up, out, and down. So if you pause there, and you might be thinking at this point, Joanne, this looks nothing like Alice in Wonderland and the Cheshire Cat. Stick with us for the final one, because it will come together very quickly. This next final bit, what we're going to do is really adapt these basic shapes we've got and turn it into what we want. So we'll start with these really simple lines here up on the tail, which will form the colours, those amazing sort of purples and pinks that we're going to put in later. Coming into this leg here, where we've just put a circle, just change the shape slightly. You can come back and do all the rubbings out at the end. So we've got that and a couple of little lines. And the same here, because this is kind of this crazy cat we've got up here. He's got a little line there and then a couple of lines. If we come on to the cat's head, really we've got a lot of it there. It is simply taking it so that we are going to point up, there, down, point up. When you pause, you'll have loads of time, but it's just easier if you start at the top and work your way down, and then you won't feel like you're missing anything. I'm going to come back in and just put those hands there. Now here I've got that. And I've got him coming down. There's a cute little tiny nose there, 2 tiny eyes, and little cheeky raised eyebrows. And then because he's all about the grin, isn't he? So we have to give him the biggest grin here, the Cheshire Cat grin. Isn't that actually a saying? To grin like a Cheshire Cat. Yeah. So there we go. And then 2, 3. Give him some teeth. Few whiskers, and then under here he's actually got his arms sort of crossed, so keep an eye out when we get to that bit of the guide sheet for those little shapes there, and then put a few stripes in there, and then take those stripes right up to the top, each one in a slightly bent line. And there we've got our cat done. So let's come on to Alice now. Now, if we start with the hair here, we've got this line. Where it's the edge of a circle, we're going to sort of take it out like that, and then change the face where we've got just a straight line. Look really carefully when you pause on the part 3 bit, but it just comes in slightly like that. We'll take that bit of a hair out, and here next to it, we've got another bit. There is actually a small bow underneath, so you can pop that in too. I'm doing this really quickly, but you can really take your time over it. Bring a hair around there like that, and then coming down like that. So the bow is just break down the shapes really to pop in the bow, don't overthink it. Take that and that there down. This line stays the same. We've already got that in there. So what we're going to work on now is this edge of the face. It's not an ordinary face that we're going for here. It's very, very cartoony, so don't worry too much or overthink it. If we pop in the hands now, where we've got those sort of square shapes, just round that off and round it off there and put in a little line which will form the basis rest of the hair. Here we're just adding, really are just adding and slightly curving a few of these lines that we've got. But can you see she's starting to come together? She will the minute I put the eyes in. If you're still thinking, what? This does not look like Alice in Wonderland. Just wait, have patience. She's getting there. I'm going to take that round there. Here I'm just going to put in a shape there and a couple of lines. The last thing here is just keep thinking of the shapes, just little shapes. So we've got that in. Now let's finish her off with these eyes. It's really important to work out where these are. So imagine you're taking that line in there slightly, then put in one little curve. She's looking a little bit cross, I think. There, so that's one eye in. Going from there slightly down, that's all we're going to do for a nose. For the mouth, she's actually sticking her tongue out a little bit rudely, I think, but then I think the Cheshire Cat would test the patience of a saint. Here we go. There's her little tongue sticking out. And now this last eye here, so imagine we're coming straight up from there. We want it to go up into the hairline because this eye is going to be much bigger. This is a really cartoony eye coming round. And there, we've got that shape, so just put it in the shape like that. If it doesn't seem right, do the very first ones incredibly lightly, so you can just keep going until you feel like you've got it. And there, all of a sudden, is Alice. Now you can colour it, use whatever colours you've got. I'm going to rub out the little bits and then I'm going to use some paints and some watercolour paints. And if you watch the next bit, you'll see which colours we're going to use. Today we're going to paint this. I'm going to paint this using these paints and some watercolour pencils and a fine liner, but whatever you can get your hands on, pens, felt tips, crayons, colouring pencils, whatever, just do it in any way you want. But I just wanted to be able to show you for sort of 5 or 10 minutes some different painting techniques. Now these paints here, it's just a very simple watercolour set which we've been trying to get hold of so that we could post them out if you want to buy them, and also the pencils. And we are delighted to say our little art school online shop will be open this weekend, so keep an eye out on our Facebook page for links for how you can access the shop if you want some paints or some pencils. Now I'm going to start this with a really simple wash. I'm going to use loads of water here because I want it to be pale. And if you want to keep things pale in watercolour, you use water. Right there, I'm going to add a touch of yellow. Did you see how little I put in there? Really, really small amount. Then I'm going to add a touch of this red. Let's see how that goes. That's all I did, a touch of yellow, touch of red, and now I'm going to test it out on my paper. I think that's just about right there. So hardly any. This is to make my skin colour. What I'm really doing here is just changing slightly the colour of the paper. That's incredibly subtle. I'm not sure you can even see it. Can you see it? You can see it. It's just changing, isn't it? To go underneath the eye, it doesn't matter if you go over that bit because we're going to do that in pen at the end. And we're going to just go into all of her face and here into her arms, and I've kept it very pale because she is she's very pale in the Disney pictures that we see. So there we go. We'll go round that eye as well, down. So people think it's quite difficult to mix a skin colour, but you saw how simple that was. It really is. A hardly any touch of yellow and a tiny touch of the alizarin crimson to make this very pale skin colour there. So there we go, that's her skin colour in, and now I'm going to use these 3 pencils here. So I'm going to have to turn my page slightly, but Elizabeth can turn with me here so that I can get in without touching that, because I want to give it room to dry. Now I'm going to, with the stripes, you can see I'm going quite heavy on the pigment around the outside because I'm not really going to colour that end one in. I'm just going to take bits of pigment in. So I'll go a bit more there, because that's what I want on the inside. Then this one next to it, I'm going to go much darker so you can see how much more pigment I'm putting in. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to put in the purple stripes. If I put in the purple stripes and the pink stripes next to each other, I'm going to really struggle to keep them from running in. So I'll put the purple stripes in, I'll change them to paint, I'll leave them for 5 minutes to dry, and then I'll come back and put the pink in. So what I'm really doing here at this point is just trying to efficiently go around the painting and do it in stages. But we'll just pause when we get to that bit. I'm going to go up there around him, put in that stripe, and another purple stripe there. And see, I'm going quite dark on this. I'll just put a couple in around the edges. And there. What I want, again, just like I did with the tail, I want the purple bit of his face to be incredibly pale. So I'm going to just go round, but I'm not going to colour in. Right, now I'm going to take my brush. I think I'm going to use a sort of middle-sized one. I'm going to flip between a middle-sized one and a small one, I think, probably. So here, do you remember we just turned the edges Look at that. You see how it's just coming in, but it'll keep it nice and pale. So I've got that watercolour effect of paint there. But with these ones, which I'll do with a smaller brush with the stripes, which I want to be bolder, can you see the difference? Exactly the same paint pigment on the paper, but because I've put more in, we're getting a much darker filled in look. Now, I'm not going to keep filming while I do all these stripes. We'll pause it and do that, come back to it as when I've finished. But what I will do here is just show you what I was going to, exactly what I did with the tail. So wet brush, bring it in, and you can really see the difference with that effect, can't you? As opposed to lots and lots of paint. So that's how adaptable these amazing pencils are, really, and you can really get in quite accurately. So I'm going to pause now while I turn the rest of the stripes to paint. I'll let the skin colour dry, and we'll come back and do the next stage. So I just gave it a few minutes and all my purple's dry now and my skin tone is dry. I've actually got 3 pinks here, so I've used the purple and I'm going to use the 2. I'm going to use the darker pink here. Just use whatever you've got at home, really, but I'm going to use the darker pink here. I'm not too bothered about going over this because I'm going to use a black pen to put the eyes in. That darker pink. I'm using my small brush just so that can really get in and be quite accurate here. There we go. So that's turned that. Then I'm going to use my pink on the stripes. So exactly what I did earlier. On the for the purple ones, just going in. That's that bit there needs to stay white because that's your negative shape in between them. And coming in here, you might hear some padding round as if we've just been invaded by a small bear, but it's not. Don't worry for us. It's our golden retriever who's just brought us a bone as a treat, which is nice. We don't need it right now, Coops. Right, so we'll go around all these stripes like this. And I'll turn one to paint, but then I'll pause it and do the other so you don't have to sit watching me doing that. But you can see as I come in, it is really, by going in with not too much water but lots of pigment on the paper, you get this really lovely strong we might have to pause now and come back in a second because we need to get our dog out with his bone because he's just too distracting. Oh no, he's taken himself out of his own accord. Oh no, he's gone. He's gone. Okay, so we'll turn all those bits of pink to paint. I'll come back and finish that bit off in a minute. So the next thing is going to be putting in her hair. Just like with the skin, it's about not going too strong on this wash. So water in your lid, bit of yellow. Test it out on your paper. I think that's about right. Do you think that's a bit strong? About right, probably. We want to have it obviously yellow. Okay, and then we'll just come in and paint the hair in with this wash. So I'm leaving where the bow is going to go. I'm going to put that in black at the end. And I'm just going to paint in the hair here. If you've got watercolour pencils and you just want to do it all in watercolour pencils, go for it. It'll look nice. A strange noise you can hear in the background is now Cooper having a drink. I don't think he got the memo that we were filming today. So that's it, and we'll put a tiny bit there. So we'll just leave that to dry. It'll only take 2 minutes, and then we'll come back and put the very final touches in. A few bits now. So we're just going to go in here with her shoulder on her dress, colour that one in, and then here. So this is like a little apron. It's very much Disney Alice there. So we've got that there. We'll do a square in there, but a little bit for her neck. And then that shape there in blue as well. And each of those, just with my small brush, I'm going to come in and turn to paint. Right, there's only really a couple of little bits left to finish it off now and really bring it all together. So we're going to go in and put in the bow using the black watercolour pencil. And then for this one, I think it will work really well to go around it in fine liner or in a with a biro or whatever you've got in black, and really bring the whole thing together. I'll do a little bit to show you now, but I'm not going to do huge amounts. It certainly will work very well on the eyes as well to get that really cartoony look down there. So you could do it in pencil, but you can see if I go in and I use my fine liner here, and put in that eye, suddenly it all starts to come together. And I'm going to go and use this fine liner to go around the edges, like that, to go over the teeth, yeah, to go around the edges of absolutely everything. I don't want to film all this. That'll take me about 20 minutes, and I don't think it'd be that interesting, but that's why we've saved this for a Friday. One, so that you've got lots of time and you can really take your time with every stage of it and really enjoy doing all these details, enjoy going around and popping the lines in like that, and really bring the painting together. But I've got something to show you now, so I'm just going to bring down one of the most fun things about this entire YouTube thing that adventure that we're having here is going into our old archives. And this is what I found in the archive that this lesson has been based on, and it was produced many years ago, right at the start of the Little Art School story, by one of our very first members of staff who came to work for us, called Yolana. Yolana's now a qualified art teacher. She's long since been in high schools teaching art, but she produced this for us a long time ago. Now we know it's immediately it's Yolana's, because can you see it if I go like that? Yolana liked to add a little bit of glitter to everything. So this was her extremely glittery Alice in Wonderland, which I love. So thank you for that little addition to our archive, Yolana. And we hope you all absolutely love doing Alice in Wonderland. Hope you really enjoyed that. Please, I know I say it every day, but please send us your pictures. We love seeing them. I'd love to see your Alice's and the expressions you're going to put on her face. So over the weekend, we're going to be opening our Little Art School shop. We know we've had so many messages from people struggling to get art materials. So we're going to be selling paints, paper, watercolour pencils and colouring pencils. So just keep an eye on our Facebook page, on our Instagram, on our Twitter. And as soon as the shop's open, we will let you know. So we're going to be back on Monday. Monday's the start of the school term again. We know it's a really strange start for everybody out there, but we will be there, and we're going to be here every weekday for as long as you need us. So tune in on Monday, whether you're at home or whether you're going into school. We really want to see you, and we are going to be back from 11 o'clock on Monday with a Treasure Island. So we will see you then.